Hi, so today we're going to show you the double-edged sword of old bikes and Facebook or eBay or any of these sort of second-hand marketplaces. This bike was purchased used, and on the face of it looked like a great bike. All the bits were there, all the cables were there, it all looked clean and tidy. But it's sort of one of those stories of how you have to be so careful with what you buy, and we'll talk you through that as we go. So we're literally going to service this bike and get it roadworthy from start to finish. So I had an FSA headset in there, and we just lined up the logos of the headset before torquing the stem. Next up, we noticed that we had 3 bolts here with one size head, and then we had this random 1 bolt here with a different head size. So we swapped all these out because we want to torque them, we want them all to look nice as well for the new rider. So we whipped all these out and we put some nice stainless steel bolts in here. But yeah, like I was saying, this bike was purchased used. It looked great, all the cables were hanging on the frame, everything was there, cassette, wheels, tyres, everything you need. And I think it was sold as in need of just servicing and finishing off. But as we quickly established with this bike, all that glitters is not gold, and it needed so much work. It went into 3 figures, the work on this bike, and obviously if you bought this used you'd be quite upset. Fortunately, this customer had a fix your bike voucher, which the government were doing at the time of the pandemic, so it probably wasn't quite so painful on his pocket, but it was still a lesson learnt maybe. Anyway, we're now just torquing up all the nuts and bolts and getting them all to the right specs. Everything on this bike was loose. I mean, look at this saddle, you can see how many times I turned this before it torques to the correct torque setting. It needed going through, definitely. I mean, look at this seat post here, it's several turns there. So we whipped the wheel out. This had a 10-speed cassette with an 8-speed old-fashioned 105 shifter on the handlebars. It had a 9-speed derailleur, which can work with the 8-speed shifter, but the wheel can't. So now we took the cassette off, we're just giving this a clean up right in the parts that you can't always get to. We've got other detailing videos on our channel. I think there's some end cards showing with the links to those. So we clean all this up. We're also now started a range in store of our cleaning products, including microfiber towels and the brushes, etc. that we're using in all our videos. You can now buy those in store and online. We'll put a link to that in the description below. So we're giving this wheel a nice clean up now and setting up for the new cassette, which is now going on. So this is an 8-speed cassette. It was actually the cheapest way to get the bike roadworthy. It had a 10-speed cassette. If we'd gone for 10-speed shifters, it would have just a 10-speed chain. It would have cost a lot more money to get this roadworthy. With agreement with the customer, we'd agreed to change the tyres for road tyres with tubes. So off come this first one. Give everything clean up in there. In goes our new tyre and tube. Directional tyre, so you always make sure the arrows are pointing in the right direction, the direction of drive. We reused the inner tube that was in the tyre, which actually exploded, so we then put a new one in. But that was, I don't think we actually videoed that at the time. It went bang and it made us both jump. So you can see I can get these wheels on, tyres on without using any levers. We'll show you that more in detail on the front tyre in a moment. Now this is going to, this is where you go with these things. This tyre was a tubeless tyre. I don't think it was a tubeless rim. It was flat anyway. I pumped it up to see if the inner tube had a puncture initially and then realised it was tubeless. It went down overnight. And this is the tubeless sealer in here. You can see it just pouring out. I should, in hindsight, have just syringed this out, which I would have done if I'd realised. But you can see, I mean, 60mm probably you need in this tyre. This is probably 200mm that's at the bottom there without all what's around the fingers there. And this is what happens, that little lump there is what actually happens with a tubeless tyre when you get a puncture. It congeals inside the tyre to seal that puncture. So yeah, we got ourselves in a right mess here. It took a bit of cleaning up this wheel, but we cleaned it up. But yeah, we have one tyre with a tube in it, one tubeless tyre with way too much sealant. This is how you go when you're buying used bikes. So we give this a good old clean up now. Yeah, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We put a lot of effort into these videos and it's nice to see our channel growing all the time. Please, like and subscribe, but especially the subscriptions, they help, with algorithms and everything. It's nice to get the channel growing. So in goes a inner tube and a new tyre on this one to match the rear. This will see this bike usable. And you can see we work round, and I always work round in, you know, from underneath and on the top. You can sort of gradually centre that tyre in the rim until you get more and more room at the top. I rarely use levers on tyres. You know, even on the side of the road, I mean, I often hear people who've got stuck because they couldn't get tyres on or off. So we give this bike a clean up now. We've got other detailing videos which you'll see in the future. You can actually see by that Carrera logo there's some coiled up cables that the bike was purchased with. I'm sure the seller said, you know, the cables are all there, you're ready to go. But you'll see in a moment or two how bad those cables were. There were no brake blocks on the bike, they came in a separate bag. I don't know if they came with the sale or whether they were just the purchaser's brake blocks from his garage. But he gave us those, so we set them up. So while we were cleaning this, we actually noticed the rear derailleur hanger here was loose. And I wonder whether that green represents formerly being on a Bianchi bike or something like that, I don't know. But we torqued that up. It's easy to miss these things, and that would have played up with a gear changing and possibly even been dangerous long term. 40 Newton meters on these bolts, all loose, and we tightened those up. In goes the new 8-speed cassette back wheel. Yeah, it's looking nice. We've got a brand new chain on there, but it's obviously come straight out of a packet for the sale, and it's too long. So we have to size the chain to the length of the chain stay in the bike, and the gearing on the bike. This one I think was 3 or 4 inches I had to take out of this one. And now we're moving on to cables, and as you can see they've already been previously cut. The new cable's soldered on that tip to allow it to go through your outers. That had clearly been cut, so we had to remove. These are the gear cables at the moment. We're doing those first. So in goes our new gear cable, stainless steel. These are a slick cable that we use. They're a lovely smooth cable for a great change. Yeah, first off the rear derailleur, so we set that one up first. Nice stainless steel rear derailleur, I think that was a 105, previous generation of some description. And then we had to line up the front derailleur, that was not even on the frame square. Adjust the high and low settings, new cable again, frayed at the end. Yeah, in a bit of a state, so out come that one, there it comes out there. And a new one straight in. So the gears are now set up beautifully with, oh, that was the other thing with this bike, it got aero bars on it, and it's a road bike, so it's not the perfect geometry for an aero bike, but it'll make it comfortable enough. Yeah, I mean that can always be changed, but I can well imagine this was a bike that had been put together with bits out of a garage for sale, and probably the seller didn't even realise that none of it was compatible, just put it together and sold it. So we're whacking on the rear derailleur now. The brakes, you can see that these cables were frayed. They were actually already on the bike like that, and you know, they'd have never worked smoothly. So we wound the adjusters in, fitted the brake blocks, got those in line. Yeah, we had to sort out some spacers for one side of these. One was a bit higgledy-piggledy. And look at this cable when we pull this out. You'll see how bad these cables were. Look at the fraying on the end there. You know, you're never going to have braking power with that cable. Be lucky if you could probably pull them up, but you'd probably be lucky if they were released. They would probably stay stuck and would gradually free through your ride. And it wouldn't make for a nice experience. So we put in a new brake cable there. Now this is a little rubber grommet that goes on the cable that I just showed going on there. That allows it to, if you're riding over rough ground, vibrates against the frame, it'll just tap against the grommet and won't rattle. So that's the rear brake nicely set up now. And you can just see I've got a little extension of 2 inch of cable there that I used to, you'll see it in the next cable, to snip them all the same length. It's just a detail that we like to sort out. So again, this is a front cable frayed off, and again in the hand shifter there, frayed. So yeah, we actually recabled the entire bike in the end. I think originally we'd agreed 3 cables, but when we were going through it, we realised no, we needed to sort out the 4th. That's what we're doing here. So in goes that. You'll see my snippy tool once the wheel's in, where I just use a little cable guide of 2 inches to get them all the same length. We're just putting the brakes on here first. But yeah, we made this bike usable. It's that learning lesson really of all that glitters is not gold, but equally it's a great proof of how you can make a bike out of anything and make a successful bike out of all parts that you got laying around. Final stage we had was accessory bolt holes, and one of those bolts was missing, so we replaced them both with stainless steel ones just to finish and detail the bike off nicely. And then we're just using our detailing spray. Again, in other videos you'll see those, and again we sell those in store and online. You can see it just gives that a nice sheen and a nice finish to the bike, and it just wipes off any greasy fingerprints or anything else that we've left on the bike. And there we have it, this beautiful Carrera, ready to do hundreds of miles, where it was absolutely unrideable when it arrived. Thanks for watching, please subscribe, as we said before, that always helps, and we'll look forward to interacting with you.